It's kind of wild to think about, isn't it? Humor, we always thought of it as this uniquely human spark, wit, absurdity, stuff that made us different. But, well, that's changing now. We're seeing AI actually whipping up jokes.
Yeah,
And sometimes they even land, creating memes, funny stories. It's definitely surprising.
absolutely. The progress, especially with large language models, has been, well, pretty remarkable. Their knack for language has opened up things we didn't quite see coming. And yeah, humor is definitely one of them.
Okay, but here's where it gets really interesting and maybe a bit unexpected. As AI learns to be funny, it's kind of holding up a mirror to us.
Uh-huh.
And what's reflected back isn't always, straightforward. It turns out the way AI learns humor can accidentally surface and even amplify existing societal biases.
Yeah. The goal is usually just lighthearted fun, right? But the methods AI uses to learn, well, they can have these unintended side effects.
Hmm?
So this deep dive is really about exploring that. How does AI get a sense of humor? It's basically learning statistical links between words from tons of data
Right.
and how that process can unintentionally cement certain stereotypes, and importantly, what we can actually do about it. We're looking at source material today that details a really insightful experiment that highlights these very issues.
Okay, let's unpack that experiment then. The source mentions progressive prompting.
Mhm.
What's the deal with that? How does it help us see these AI biases in humor?
Okay, so progressive prompting. It's a technique where you start with a pretty simple request, right? And then you nudge it further, asking for more of something. In this case, asking it to be funnier.
Hmm.
A key example they discussed was asking ChatGPT to describe, say, a funny Indian boy.
Right. Okay. So the first attempt might be fairly, I don't know, standard. But then what happens if you ask for a funnier version?
That's exactly where these learned biases can pop up. The experiment showed that when pushed to be funnier, the AI sometimes falls back on exaggerating traits linked to that group.
Hmm.
So for the funny Indian boy, maybe it adds over-the-top clothes or a kind of fake accent, stuff like that, culturally insensitive things. And this probably comes from the AI seeing countless online jokes and memes where, humor about certain groups relies on caricature, not actual wit.
Okay.
The model doesn't really understand nuance, so it just sees exaggeration as a key ingredient for funny when linked to that group in its data.
Wow. That's eye-opening. So it's not like it's being originally funny. It's more like it's grabbing onto these existing, maybe problematic patterns it found online. And the article mentioned similar things for body size and age too, didn't it?
Exactly. Yeah, the research highlighted in our source found similar patterns across different groups. Ask it to make any character funnier, and it often defaulted to, well, exaggerating physical things,
Like what?
like making characters seem heavier or maybe amplifying traits we associate with being older. These weren't necessarily, inherently funny things. It was the AI's kind of shortcut based on the patterns it processed.
Which brings us to the big question. Where do these patterns actually come from? It's not like the AI intends to be insensitive, is it?
No, not at all. The root cause is just the sheer volume of online stuff these models train on. That data includes, well, tons of jokes, memes, stories, and sadly, a lot of that leans on existing societal stereotypes.
Hmm.
Now, developers do try to filter out the really harmful stuff, of course, but lots of subtle biases are still in the training data, and the AI absorbs them.
So it's almost like the AI learns this kind of comedic shorthand from all that data, even if the shorthand relies on tropes that are outdated or, offensive.
Precisely. It's essentially learning from our collective online footprint, the good, the bad, and the ugly, you could say. Certain stereotypes, unfortunately, are just really common in online humor. So the AI trying to fulfill the make it funnier request might just gravitate towards those easily identifiable but potentially iffy patterns.
Okay, so we get the problem. Now, what can we actually do about it? Both users and maybe developers. The source material suggests some practical ways to steer AI humor in a better direction. Let's start with mindful prompting. What does that look like in practice?
All right, mindful prompting. It's really about being careful and deliberate in how we phrase requests.
Hmm.
So instead of asking for a joke about a specific group, which might trigger those learned stereotypes,
Yeah.
we should aim for more neutral or general prompts. The article had a good example. Instead of make a joke about an old person, try something like, tell a funny story about someone misunderstanding a text message.
Ah, okay, that makes sense.
It shifts the focus away from a group characteristic and towards, like, a common human situation.
It's about finding humor in relatable experiences, not group traits.
Okay.
The second tip was setting clear guidelines. How do we actually tell an AI, hey, don't go there?
Well, you can actually be pretty direct.
Mm.
Yeah. You can explicitly tell the AI, avoid jokes based on age, gender, culture, or any other category that's often stereotyped. Just include that kind of phrase in your prompt. It's not foolproof, obviously, but it gives the AI clear guardrails and can definitely influence the output.
Like setting rules before you start playing a game? Okay, next up, careful review. This feels super important, right? No matter how good the prompt is.
Absolutely critical.
Yeah.
We always need to look at AI-generated stuff with, a critical eye. Just because the AI spat it out doesn't mean it's okay or free from those subtle biases.
You're right.
So it's crucial to check the output. Look for any hints of stereotyping or just mean-spirited stuff, and be ready to tell it, nope, try again, make it more neutral or respectful.
So we're kind of the human filter, making sure its attempts at humor actually land well. The fourth strategy is providing feedback. How does telling the AI it messed up actually help?
It's really valuable data for the system. When we tell the AI, hey, this output relied on a stereotype, we're helping it learn, these models improve through interaction. So by pointing out the problematic stuff, we help refine its understanding of what counts as, appropriate and unbiased humor.
Gotcha.
That feedback loop is really essential for making these systems better over time.
That's a great point. It's not just us using it, we're helping train it too. Okay, and finally, the article mentioned diversifying humor requests. What's the idea behind that?
Well, diversifying our requests basically stops the AI from getting stuck in a rut, repeating the same potentially biased patterns. If we only ever ask for jokes about specific groups, it might just keep reinforcing those connections in its internal workings.
Ah, okay.
But if we ask for different types of humor, like observational stuff, wordplay, maybe absurd scenarios, we encourage it to explore a wider range of comedy styles. And those styles are often less likely to lean on stereotypes.
So putting it all together, be thoughtful when asking, set clear rules, always check the output, give feedback when it's off, and mix up the types of humor we ask for. That seems like a solid toolkit for guiding AI humor better.
It really is. And it's worth remembering the upside here, too.
Mm-hmm.
If we develop it thoughtfully, AI humor could be a great tool for connecting,
Hmm.
maybe understanding different views, exploring human quirks in fun ways.
Okay, so wrapping up then. The main takeaway seems to be that AI humor isn't magic. It's learned directly from the data we feed it. And that data, well, it contains human biases, which the AI can then unintentionally echo or even amplify.
That sums it up nicely, yeah. And it leaves us with a final thought for you, the listener, to chew on. If AI is learning from and maybe amplifying our biases in something as seemingly light as humor, what are the bigger implications? Think about all the other areas where AI is learning and creating. What responsibility do we have in shaping the data that trains these incredibly powerful tools? Something to think about.